If you've ever been to a major stock show in Texas, there's a chance you've seen those adorable little girls with their big bows showing those short-legged red and white cattle. Those are miniature Herefords. They're just a smaller version of the standard-sized Herefords that we see today. I've been showing Hereford cattle for 13 years and I'm a third-generation cattle rancher. I plan on in the near future starting my own Hereford and possibly miniature Hereford herd. I believe that in the near future, miniature Herefords will be the face of the cattle industry. It makes sense to raise miniature Hereford cattle because standard Hereford cattle take up more room, eat more feed, and they're much more of a headache whenever it comes to working. Also, with our society becoming more green, standard Hereford cattle are more harmful to the environment. As our urban areas develop, it's taking away our farm and ranch land. That puts us who raise cattle in a tight spot because we want to be able to raise as many head of cattle as we can, but we can only do that on so much land. If we cannot raise enough beef, the cost of beef at your local supermarket is going to go up tremendously, as it's already started. Many large, high-class restaurants are wanting to be able to lower their portion sizes. They can't do that with standard Hereford beef. Box beef is another area of the meat industry that would benefit greatly from miniature Hereford cattle. They want to be able to put the most amount of beef in a box that they possibly can. They can't do that as well with standard Hereford cattle. As far as the show industry, it takes a lot of money and a lot of feed to get a standard Hereford calf show ready. This makes it really difficult for many families to raise and show cattle. With less people being able to get involved in showing through organizations such as 4-H and FFA, it lowers the number of young agriculturalists in the future. And anyways, what parent wants their little kid in the show ring with a 1,700-pound steer? Why are miniature Herefords so great? According to the Miniature Hereford Breeders Association, minis are about half the size of standard Hereford cattle. That means they need half as much feed, half as much room, and they cause half as much headache whenever we're working them. They also tend to make about half as much waste, making them more environmentally friendly. The thing that most ranchers are going to appreciate the most about miniature Hereford cattle is that they don't stomp down the grass as bad. When cattle walk through the pasture, they stomp on grass. After a while of stomping through the same areas, that kills the grass. On our 60 acres that my family owns in Stephenville, we can run about 30 head of cattle. If we were running minis on our land, we would be able to run 60 to 65 head of cattle. But not everybody has that kind of acreage. So minis are perfect for a small pasture for something like an ag tax exemption or a senior who just wants company or a little hobby on the side that doesn't take much effort. As for the issue of meat size, minis produce smaller cuts of beef. That would allow restaurants to serve their smaller portions, and that would also allow the boxed beef industry to put more beef in each box. In the show ring, I can't think of a better animal to start with than a miniature Hereford. Most families starting out in 4-H and FFA start with sheep, goats, pigs, or something small like that, just because of the lower cost to buy, the less feed they eat, and the less amount of effort that they entail. A lot of these families eventually move up to showing steers, but why not just start with a miniature steer? They're the perfect size for just about any youngsters, being that they only get up to about 1,000 pounds full grown. A standard size steer will weigh upwards of 1,700 to 2,000 pounds full grown. I believe it'd be beneficial to the cattle industry to decrease the size of our cattle. Throughout the 50s and 60s, all of our cattle were just slightly larger than what we consider minis today. Then in the 80s, we went to tall, long-legged cattle. Today, our cattle are a little bit of a mix of both, but I still feel like they're too big. Finding a mini Hereford is getting easier and easier every day. Carly Biddle informed me of the Miniature Hereford Breeders Association. They have a full list of members on their website and they have partnered with the Texas Junior Livestock Association, or TJLA, and the Iowa Junior Beef Breeders Association, or IJBBA. These are both youth organizations that run sanctioned shows and give points based on placings, and at the end of each year, they give out prizes to the top 10 in each breed. Thanks to the MHBA, our Texas State Hereford Show had 50 mini entries as compared to 25 from last year. More information on minis can be found at miniaturehereford.org. I found about 100 MHBA members in the state of Texas alone. So if you want to start raising miniature Hereford cattle in the great state of Texas, you should have plenty of choices.